ArgoCon. Who is here excited to learn a little bit more about Argo and Kubernetes Gateway API and Istio Ambient Mesh? Yes? All right. My name is Lin Song. I'm the head of open source with Solo.io. I come from a small town in the east coast of the America called Kiali, North Carolina. Those of you who knows Red Hat headquarters, it's about 25 minutes from the small town I live, Raleigh. A little bit fun fact about my company, which I actually just learned about today. So this morning, I went to the Metrics website about the company contribution for all the CNCF projects, and I was shocked to find out my company is the 10th. So we have about 150 employees. I was very proud as a head of open source to see that we are the 10th largest contributor to the CNCF, all the CNCF projects combined. All right, today I'm going to talk to you about Kubernetes Gateway API, Istio Ambient, and Argo Rollout, and also generative AI. I actually developed a demo application myself, so I'm going to show all that to you. How many of you are familiar or using Kubernetes Gateway API? All right, many of you, awesome. How many of you actually heard about Istio Ambient Service Mesh? All right, awesome. And how many of you are using Istio Ambient or tried it? A couple of you, awesome. And how many of you tried Argo Rollout with Kubernetes Gateway API so far? Well, a couple of you. Great. Thank you for all these innovators. So a couple of things I want to quickly jump on. So if you go to the Argo Rollout document, you can see the instructions on how to enable Argo Rollout with Kubernetes Gateway API. A little bit of caveat with the instruction is you do have to install the config map with the plugin, with the Gateway API plugin. This is after you install the Argo Rollout controller. I believe you also have to install, you also have to kind of bounce the deployment off and also install the plugin with the init container. So when I tried this, it didn't work initially because I made a typo, so checking out the logs was super helpful for me. And quickly, I think most of you understand Istio Ambient. When I ask, just quickly for those of you who don't familiar with Istio Ambient, we introduced a new mode in 2022, I believe. Yes. So 2022, we launched Istio Ambient as a technical preview in Istio community. And it went to GA in Salt Lake City KubeCon last year. So what's interesting about Istio Ambient is instead of having sidecar proxy, we are running node proxy for layer 4 traffic that handles mutual TLS and simple authorization policy using a Z-tunnel component called Zero Trust Tunnel. So when we initially wrote Z-tunnel, we used the Envoy proxy, but then we find out the Envoy proxy was a little bit too heavyweight for our purpose, and we rewrite it using Rust. The other interesting portion of Ambient, because we're not running sidecar and somebody still have to do layer 7 processing, we believe the right architecture with layer 7 processing is you have a layer 7 proxy per tenant, and your tenant could be based on your service or your namespace, which is probably a more common one, or multiple namespace as part of your tenant scope. So for your tenant scope, you are going to have, so this is a diagram of Z-tunnel for the pods sharing on the same node. And this is a diagram for the waypoint proxy. So based on the tenant scope you feel comfortable, you are running your own layer 7 proxy outside of your application pod. All right, so that's enough introduction of Istio Ambient. And let's actually jump into a live demo. So finger crossed. I noticed the Wi-Fi hasn't been great this morning, so wish me good luck. So in this demo, we're going to go through a couple of components projects. First of all, we're going to use Kubernetes for KubeCon, and I already talked about Istio Gateway API Argo, so we're going to use all that. We're going to use Flannel as a CNI. It's all running on my machine using a kind cluster. We're going to use Python to write the generative AI application using Streamline to front the UI. Wow, this sounds like a sound competition. Can you guys hear me in the back? Yes? Okay, great. And we're going to use Prometheus and Kiali to help us visualize the traffic. For the large language model, we're going to use a Llama. What I love about a Llama is you can easily run it as a Docker container locally on the machine. It could work with OpenAI too, but it's just easier to run that way. All right, so let's jump into the demo. So first, I'd like to show you my Kubernetes cluster. I got everything pretty much installed just to save time. So as you can see, I got Argo Rollout installed. I got Argo CD installed. I got a simple client application, which is pretty much a curl command to allow us to send some curl request. I got my demo AI application installed. I also have a couple of waypoint, which is the layer 7 proxy we talk about, commonly deployed per namespace. So I have a waypoint proxy deployed in my default namespace, which is where I run my demo AI application. I also have the waypoint deployed in the egress, Istio egress namespace, because I'm running a Llama outside of my Kubernetes cluster, so I want to control traffic going to my large language model, similarly as when you're calling OpenAI outside of your Kubernetes cluster. I got Istio Ingress Gateway deployed, which controls all the incoming traffic coming into my demo application. Let's see, I also got Istio Ambient installed. I got the Zero Trust Tunnel, which is the layer 4 proxy that handles all the layer 4 traffic upgrade to mutual TLS on the node for all the parsing ambient on that node. I also got Prometheus running, and also the Kiali, which is a UI for Istio. What else I have it running? That's about it. All right, so the first thing I want to show you is we're going to take a look at the namespace. Sorry, this is a typo. I think I want to do namespace. All right, so I want to show you on the default namespace, in order to enroll my application into Ambient, there's no need to restart the application because we don't run sidecars anymore with Ambient. So all I did was label the namespace with data plane mode Ambient. And I also labeled the namespace with Istio.io/use waypoint to say I want to use the waypoint for that particular namespace. So I already labeled that for the default namespace. I also made similar label for the egress namespace, which I want to control all the traffic going to Llama. And the other thing I did is I have a simple service entry resource. Did I mistype again? Let me double check. I think it might be called service entries. Okay, let's see if this works. All right, so I have this simple service entry resource deployed. If you're familiar with Istio, service entry controls traffic going outside of your cluster when your application needs to reach external services. In this example I mentioned to you, I have a Llama running. By the way, this is my Llama, and you can see we can interact with my Llama running locally here, but it's outside of a Kubernetes cluster. I have a couple of large language models already loaded into my Llama, which is Llama 32 and Lava. We're going to use in the demo. All right, so the service entry controls traffic. Basically, when the application calls this Llama, which runs on my host.docker.internal on this port, it should go to the egress waypoint and then forward the request to the actual destination, which is my Llama. All right, so that's kind of the environment I have. Oh, the other thing is I want to show you I do have a gateway resource already deployed. So let's see, I think I have gateway class deployed. So I have the egress class that controls external traffic going outside of my cluster. I have ingress class that controls incoming traffic, because the talk is about multi-direction traffic. So the ingress controls incoming traffic from outside of the cluster into the cluster. I also have the generic waypoint class, which controls east-west traffic within the cluster. All right, so the other thing I have is, so I have this gateway resources. If you are not familiar with gateway, Kubernetes gateway resources, you can see it reached version 1 last year. And what I love about Kubernetes Gateway resources is the status field, which is really helpful with debugging. So you can see, right now I don't have an IP address, so we're going to do port forwarding. That's just because of my environment. But you can see the resources accepted, and I'm exposed to port on port 80. All right, I think we have enough explanation about my environment. Let's jump into the demo of the application. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to reach my demo application from the Istio ingress gateway. So I'm going to run port forwarding of the port 80 to 8099. Oh, the other thing I forgot to show you is I do have a HTTP route deployed to config the traffic from my Istio ingress gateway to my demo application on port 80. Remember, we exposed port 80. So the demo application also runs on port 80. You can see I config when the traffic comes to the Istio ingress gateway on the port 80, which is defined in the gateway resource. Please forward the traffic. If it's pass prefix starts with /, please go ahead forward the traffic to the demo application. All right, let's jump into the demo application. So we just enabled the port forwarding, so I'm going to refresh. This is my version 2 of my demo application, just to simplify the time. I'm just going to jump into version 2. For now, so the first thing we're going to do is, have you all been exploring Central London? So I'm going to ask if I can type, what are the top 3 things to do in London? All right, so what's going to happen is the traffic's going to hit my Istio ingress gateway, and then hits my demo application, and then control the traffic through the egress, and then to the Llama, which I'm using the Llama model. All right, so how many of you have visited Buckingham Palace? All right, a couple of you. Wow, nice. How many of you have explored British Museum? Awesome. And how many of you have taken a ride on London Eye? All right, awesome. Now, the next question I'm going to ask is, what is Argo Rollouts? Because I want to see if it's smart to know. All right, actually, it doesn't know. Okay, that's kind of disappointing. Okay, let me ask, does it know what is ambient mesh? All right. I guess that's not entirely right either. So you can see large language models sometimes it's a little bit dumb. So it knows some things. Sometimes it doesn't know. So the other fun exercise, by the way, we should be able to visualize the app here. Let me actually show you now that we generate some traffic. Finger crossed. So typically this dashboard works is when there's enough metrics, it can start generate the dashboard, right? So I want to show you what my application looks like. So what we're going to do is we're going to enable security. So you can see this is my application I just showed you, right? So let me enlarge this a little bit. So the application goes from my Istio ingress gateway, which is the central point, through mutual TLS to my demo application, and then to the waypoint. And through the waypoint, and then goes to the external Alama, right? So this is all good. Now, the next thing I want to show you is, because I'm not happy with the application, so I want to come up with a newer version of the application. So what I did is I tried to create using RAG, right? Because my large language module doesn't understand the domain-specific knowledge, right? We ask about Argo, it doesn't, rollouts, it doesn't know. We ask about ambient mesh, it doesn't know. So what I want to do is I want to be able to kind of ask, you know, if I can send you some documents, can you be able to understand? Okay, so we don't have the RAG module deployed, which is why we're getting this error, by the way. So we're going to use Argo Rollout to deploy that. This is where Argo comes in. So I already have my application in my GitHub repository. This is my Argo application. Just so everybody knows, it's an application to roll out the RAG microservices. And we have the RAG rollout components, which essentially deploys my own RAG service and version 1 of it. And I have my canary and stable strategy. That's for future, because I'm not happy with the first version of the RAG. We're going to use the second version. So let me jump on due to the time to actually do this quickly. So we're going to do this, and we're going to change to automatic if it works. And we're going to need to specify the repository. So I'm going to copy my demo application URL, because I don't want to type right. And we're going to specify using the latest. And we are going to specify the overlay path, if I got it correctly. I think it's this customized file that contains all the resources I want the Argo application to deploy. And the demo cluster is going to be my Kubernetes cluster, and I want it to deploy into the default namespace. I think it looks good. So finger crossed, and let's go ahead and deploy that thing. All right, so what it's going to do is going to, wow, that's kind of fast. Wow, kind of surprising. So let me go there and see if it actually deploy my, so if we go to the pods right now, we should be able to see the RAG microservice deploy, right? All right, that looks right. So, so what's essentially doing is I was able to use Argo Rollout, and based on the resources I specify in my repository, it deploys the RAG rollouts for me. It deploys the analysis template for me, which I want to use Istio successful rate to measure the 400 and 500, long 500 code versus good response code and check the failure rate. And I also have the services for Canary and Stable for my RAG. I also have the route to configure when the path prefixes slash goes to my Stable and Canary service on port 80. All right, let's see if this works, actually. So what we're going to do is we're going to try this one. Okay, so this is what I didn't like about this RAG version 1, because it doesn't support TXT file. So what we're going to do is we're going to try a PDF file. Hopefully it works better. And because I send a specific document regarding ambient mesh, now I'm hoping, finger crossed, it's going to be a little bit more intelligent when I ask what is ambient mesh. All right, let's see if it's right. So ambient mesh is a new pattern for managing and secure communication between microservices. It's based on traditional service mesh concept, but a simpler and lighter architecture that removes the need of sidecar proxy. All right, so this RAG service is working, but I'm not entirely happy, right? Because it doesn't take TXT, which is a common document format in addition to PDF. So to fix that, I actually deploy a newer version, pushed a newer version of RAG v2 into my Docker hub. So let's use Argo Rollout to roll it out, see if we can get that done together. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to specify the new images. So we're going to say Kubernetes Argo Rollouts, let's set the image of RAG to version 2. And I'm going to hit the enter here. So once this hits version 2, and the version 2 hopefully is starting to creating, and pending the Wi-Fi here, hopefully we're going to be able to get the version 2 created pretty soon. All right. I guess it's still coming up. Yeah, it's trying to pull the image. So let's be a little bit patient. In the meanwhile, when you do Argo rollout, remember I have the analysis template, right? So we can't do Argo rollout without any test, because if we do that, the rollout is going to fail. So I'm going to get prepared for that. So first, I'm going to prepare to kind of send the documents in TXT file. Whenever this thing comes up, oh my gosh, if it can come up. If not, we'll have to pull out the recording, unfortunately, because the Wi-Fi seems pretty bad to download the image here. Okay. All right, I think we're having a little bit challenging to download the image here. This is a little bit unfortunately. I thought I actually preloaded the image. So let me actually switch to a demo, recorded demo for this portion. Let me see if I have my demo here. I apologize for that. All right, so we're going to roll out to the version 2 of the application. So this is pretty much towards the end of the demo. All right, so this is me setting up the version 2. You guys all saw that. And all right, so you should see version 2 spin up right away. The image is actually not that big, but we know the conference Wi-Fi has been pretty challenging today. So once the version 2 comes up, we're going to do some tests really quickly. So you can see I'm starting to see the document is processing correctly now, especially when I canary roll out the new version. I specify when you use this header, X canary rollout canary, it always goes to version 2. Now we're going to generate some load. By the way, you can see I'm getting some invalid file type. That's when it goes to version 1, right? Because version 1 doesn't understand TXT, and version 2 can understand. Now we're asking the version 2 specific question about ambient, and it's just recurring ask that so we can generate some traffic. All right, the next thing we're going to do together is, now that we have our version 2 rollout, we're going to check the rollout dashboard together. All right, so let's go out to check out the rollout dashboard. You can see the rollout dashboard is coming up. And it's right at the edge because what I did is I want to manual testing, set the canary header, and now I'm going to promote it. And for the next 2 phases of testing, I'm not going to do a manual promotion. So we can see the test is going. What we're going to do is hit the promote button to promote to the next phase, which is set to 60% progress. And once the 60% successfully, gone through the testing of the canary version, didn't generate error rates, we're going to promote to the next stage, which is 100%. Okay, here what we're doing is we're going to check out the metrics in premises. So that's bear with me. So what we're doing is pull forwarding. I'm actually going to forward a little bit faster because time constraints here. All right, let's see if. Okay, so you can see this is my Canary version. I'm getting 200 reply. That's how Argo Rollout was very confident to promote to the next stage for me so that it can progress from 60% to 100% so it can promote version 2. All right, this is actually my dashboard looks like, by the way. You can see the Canary version has been promoted. We can have traffic coming to both Canary and stable version, and the traffic is all secure through mutual TLS. At the end, we should be able to also see the Canary being promoted to stable and the old stable being removed. And you can see we're using the Gateway API to control the ingress traffic through Istio ingress gateway. And then we're also using Gateway API to control east-west traffic using the waypoint deployed in the default namespace. We're also using Gateway API, Gateway resources to control the egress traffic through service entry. So the graph actually shows pretty nicely. We have control point, and we were able to using Gateway API to and HTTP routes to roll out a newer version of the RAG demo successfully. So this is a last piece. All right, so you can see the last version, the second version was roll out successfully, and we should be able to get some describe of Ambient. All right, so we did get what is the Ambient, and that looks pretty right. All right. Last thing I want to do, I know I'm running out of the time. To close out the demo, I want to analyze the mood of the audience. So, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect you to my phone, and all right. All right, and I'm going to try to point you all. If you enjoy my session, we're going to analyze your mood for you. So, all right, let me take a picture. Yes. All right. And let's see what Alava says from Alama. All right. Seems from a conference in a large hall, right? There's nothing. It's engaged and focused. Okay, that's all I can ask for. All right, I think I'm coming to the end of my session. What I want to let you know is I want to give you a challenge. You know, after you see what I build with Gateway API, Ambient, Argo Rollouts, Kubernetes Promises, I want you to challenge yourself, build something cool. Maybe we'll see you at the next ArgoCon.